Well, let's have a little chunter about the financial community, shall we? We've had a go at the NHS, we've had a go at the council, and since they're getting into the ring with me on Wednesday, I better give them a chance to limber up. I mean, fine fighting Vettel. No, I'm not, because I don't know a bit about how to fight councils, or for that matter, as a cub reporter, I had to cover the courts, of course, but not for a long time, and I've forgotten more or less what happens. Talking to some of my pals who are judges and so on and so forth, they're just so highly amused that this is happening that they can't give any sensible advice. So heaven only knows what's going to happen in Brighton on Wednesday. So we better give it a rest, I think. And let's take a pot shot at the financial community, because while I understand that in a Western economy that funding, cash, economics have to drive our lives, what I don't understand is why we pay lip service to small business, why we pay lip service to trying to get youngsters to become entrepreneurs when they leave school rather than go to university, why we're trying to start a new apprenticeship scheme for youngsters rather than sending them to university, why in fact we actually penalise students by £9,000 by sending them to university. The whole thing seems crazy to me, when in fact the big institutions don't understand that if you become an entrepreneur, if you become freelance, if you actually use your talents and your skills to make a living, is it doesn't fit into their schedule. They have these damn things called direct debits. A direct debit is all well and good, except it has a finite time that it ends. So if on the 14th of something you have a direct debit for, say, £30 or £40, and if you don't have the money in by 2:30 in that afternoon, and it comes in at 3:30, or it comes in at 4 o'clock, or at 5:30 just before the bank closes, so it's perfectly legitimately in your account on that day, it still gets dinged. Ding, 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 ding. Why are we expected to be specific about paying? Why can't we have some sort of expandable month? As long as you actually pay within the month, then it's perfectly okay. Or even make an arrangement to pay a chunk at a time rather than a certain amount on a certain day. Why, you say that all sounds terribly unreasonable. Well, yes, it does, if in fact what you do is you get a paycheck on a Friday. Or you get a paycheck at the end of the month, or you get a paycheck in the middle of the week, middle of the month, every 2 weeks, or whatever. It's perfectly reasonable, those systems, but we're trying to encourage people to become entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs don't get paid like that. They sometimes have to wait quite a long time. They don't get it at the end of every month. Sure, quite often being an entrepreneur, being freelance, means that you make more than the bloke who is actually making a salary, but you don't get it very regularly. It comes and it goes up and it goes down. And there is no understanding of that from banks. There used to be. You used to be able to go and see the bank manager, and he'd say, I'll give you a little extension of a couple of days or so. But we don't have bank managers that we can see just like that anymore. They're computers. I went to see, not I may say, for anything as serious as non-payment of something, but I went to see my bank manager today, or I went into the bank to see if I could see somebody, and what was today? It was Monday, and I was able to get an appointment by Friday. Now, that was partly because I'm tied up on Monday. No, I'm tied up on Tuesday. Yes, tomorrow. And I'm tied up on Wednesday, most certainly am, at the magistrate's court. And on Thursday, I had another appointment, which is money to me. Appointments are money. That's how I get money in, by working odd days. So it's Friday before I can see my bank manager. I mean, now, it's okay. It didn't mean much today. But if I wanted to see him about a little extension because I've got a direct debit coming in tomorrow, ooh, gosh, if you don't do it by computer, you've had it. And there are lots of people who are in the business of being freelance, in the business of being small businessmen, in the business of not getting their cash in regularly, who still have to deal with the direct debit and the online situation in terms of banking. You know, some of us, I shouldn't say some of us, I do my banking online, and it's a very easy way to do it until you had to snag. And then it's not easy at all, because the computer doesn't care. It sends out the letter, and it dings you, and it sends out the amount, And it's all very well, but there is no human being to say, oh no, that was a mistake. Let's reverse it. There is eventually, but I don't notice that after you've been charged 12 quid, that the bank is terribly ready, if they get it wrong, to put any sort of compensation on with a percentage, the way that they do very readily collect the 12 quid off you. Well, I'm sorry, it just isn't good enough. And if we're going to encourage good small businesses, if we're going to encourage the high street to stay the high street, if we're going to encourage entrepreneurs, if we're going to encourage apprenticeships, then what we've got to do, and if we're going to charge these extortionate fees to students, then what we've got to do is to make the system, the financial system, suit that sort of life and not rabbit on about, oh, this is the way of life, you should really do this, let's be a nation of entrepreneurs and so on. Oh, by the way, the banks aren't going to play ball. No, let's do something about it. Good rant today. I enjoyed that. Till bye.